Good morning and welcome to our devotions for Wednesday morning. A joy to be with you once more to share this time of reflection and prayer, to be able to acknowledge God's presence in this world, God's love, God's peace, and to be able just to know that we are all together and that we continue to raise our eyes to look beyond where we are, knowing that there's more, knowing that God has so much more in store for us. So take a few moments, just take a deep breath, come into your heart, fill your heart with gratitude, and let us go into a time of prayerful reflection and quiet. We live in such a busy world, and these precious moments that we take daily, no matter if you take these moments early morning or at some time during the day or even the evening, it is still good that we can be still and know of the presence of God. So let's close our eyes. Let's come into our pustine, our quiet place, our place of inner reflection and peace. In this place of quietness, we turn our attention inwards. And we acknowledge the divine presence around us. Having seen the morning, the day, having seen the busyness, the activity, having seen the presence of all the objects in our environment, we know that God is. That God has once again called into being all that we have known from yesterday. And with that awareness, we now turn our attention within. And we seek the divine presence within. The same God of the outside is the same God on the inside. And we acknowledge God's presence. And we fill our hearts with gratitude for that presence. And we are so aware as we fill our hearts with gratitude. We are so aware of the world in which we live. A world with its many challenges, yet a beautiful world. We recognize the two sides to every coin. The yin-yang of life, the need for balance. And in this quiet moment, let us discern balance in our own lives, finding that middle space which allows us to embrace all that is, and to perceive what we call good from that central place, to perceive what we call bad from that central place, a place that allows us to not invest in one side or another, but to hold attention and to derive the blessing from this place, where there's neither good nor evil, there's just presence. As we sit in this space, a space of non-judgment, space of non-attachment, you just allow all that desires to flow through us in this moment to flow, without judgment, without attachment. Just allowing, knowing that we are safe, knowing that we are in the presence of the divine. And just allowing God to show us all that there is within and around us. All the things that are there for us to take us onward, to allow us to grow and to be filled. So just allow this time to be. And to know we are not alone. We are together. And we are in God. And God is in us. And so we turn this day to the reading for this morning, the reading from the 11th chapter of John's Gospel, reading verse 1 to 16. Now a certain man was ill, Lazarus of Bethany, the village of Mary and her sister Martha. Mary was the one who anointed the Lord with perfume and wiped his feet with her hair. Her brother Lazarus was ill. So the sisters sent a message to Jesus, "Lord, he whom you love is ill." But when Jesus heard it, he said, "His illness does not lead to death. Rather, it is for God's glory, so that the Son of God may be glorified through it." Accordingly, though Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus, after having heard that Lazarus was ill, he stayed 2 days longer in the place where he was. Then after this, he said to the disciples, "Let us go to Judea again." The disciples said to him, "Rabbi, the Jews were just now trying to stone you, and are you going there again?" Jesus answered, Are there not 12 hours of daylight? Those who walk during the day do not stumble because they see the light of this world. But those who walk at night stumble because the light is not in them. After saying this, he told them, "Our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I am going there to awaken him." The disciples said to him, "Lord, if he has fallen asleep, he will be all right." Jesus, however, had been speaking about his death, but they thought that he was referring merely to sleep. Then Jesus told them plainly, "Lazarus is dead. For your sake, I am glad that I was not there, so that you may believe. But let us go to him." Thomas, who was called the twin, said to his fellow disciples, "Let us also go, that we may die with him." Here ends the reading. Jesus speaks of light. And in this passage, he offers us two aspects of light. He says that those who walk in the day have the light of this world, and so they do not stumble. Those who walk at night have no light within them, and so they stumble in the darkness. As I listened to this passage this morning, I couldn't help but be taken by Jesus' words. And I wondered, what are they saying to me this morning? What am I receiving from this short verse? I can understand quite clearly that those who walk in the day have the light of the world, in a sense, the sun, if you want to use it from that perspective. But we also must remember that Jesus refers to himself as the light of the world. So, as usual, there is this play on words, as we see in the entire passage, where even when Jesus says that Lazarus has fallen asleep, there is this misunderstanding. And John is quite adept at pointing out these misunderstandings from time to time. But what draws me to this passage this morning is those who walk at night stumble because they have no light within them. They have no light within them. What is Jesus saying to us? We have no light within us when we walk in the night. In the day, the light is external. There's no mention of internal light. So we benefit from the external light. But at night, there's no external light. And clearly, there's no internal light. Is Jesus inviting us to in some way develop an inner light? a light that enables us to see in the darkness. And here not the darkness that comes about as a result of no physical light, but darkness as it pertains to the spiritual journey. The spiritual journey cannot be enlightened by physical light. It can only be enlightened by an internal spiritual light. And Jesus is perceived as the light that has come into the world. John says that men love darkness rather than light because their deeds were evil. Jesus is perceived as coming into a world of darkness to bring light, to bring that inner light, that light that is derived from a higher awareness of what this entire journey is about. There seems to be so many distractions at this time in our world. So many things that are causing us to give attention. And at times I wonder if we're not being misguided, misled, tricked into thinking that we are accomplishing something, when in fact we're really doing nothing. There's so much talk of justice in our world, talk of reparations. And while there is some merit, the question still stands. Even in all of this, is there something that we're missing? Is there some inner light that we're missing as we busy ourselves in our arguments and our defenses? Is there something we're missing? Are we able to see that common humanity? We're so punitive in our world. We want others to pay. But we don't even consider to what extent we might be as guilty as they are. We never consider our shared responsibility as a human family. The inner light that Jesus refers to is as a result of coming up higher, into a higher vibration, where my light is no longer outside of myself, but my light is within. And even as I think of this, you get the sense that you're also being challenged not to defend the position of others or to depend on their ideas and their concepts for your own position. Because so often in our world, we regurgitate that which others have said. And we hardly ever go within ourselves to discern the light, the awareness that is within us, which can bring us to our own conclusions, to our own ideas, to our own positions. For me, I have this sense that this is what Jesus is referring to when he speaks of when we walk in night, we stumble because there is no light within us. We are so dependent on that which is outside of ourselves that we fail to cultivate our own inner light and work. So maybe in this message that we are reflecting on with respect to the story of Lazarus and his death, perhaps it is more about our own inner death, our own inner absence of light. That is really the focus of this message. But how do we bring that light into being? I dare say that the light is there, but the light needs to be fueled. And the way we fuel it is by recognizing that we are being called more and more to look within, to spend time on the inside, away from the distractions of everyday life, away from the busyness. The external light is there in so many places. And we don't have to worry because it is there. And it allows us to see what we want to see. But what is it that we aren't seeing? What dimension of this existence we aren't seeing? Because there is no inner light. If the soul is eternal, and I believe and know it is, and the flesh is temporal, then I'm inclined to believe that that which I'm receiving from the external light is momentary. It's just for a time. And in a sense, in relation to the inner workings of spirit and soul, it is but a speck in my existence. So again, Jesus tells us, labor not for that which perishes, but do the work for that which is eternal. Let's not put so much of our investment in this external light and all that we are able to do because of it. Let's put some more energy into fueling the internal light so that we can begin to see the real work, the real investment that we need to engage in order to truly accomplish our reason for being in this world. When we walk by day, we walk with confidence because there is the external light of the world. But what of our walking in the midst of the darkness of this world? Do we have that internal light that enables us to walk without stumbling? I know that there is nothing that man needs that God has not provided. So may we search. May we ask. May we knock. That which is ours may be truly available to us.